Hi guys, my name is Matti Sulanto and I'm a photographer, and today I'm gonna take a short photo walk with the Olympus 17mm f1.8 lens and the E-M1III camera body. Unfortunately, the light is a little bit dull this morning, but that's how it is with photography, at least this type of photography. You either have to wait for the light or you have to deal with the light, and this is what I'm gonna do today. Obviously, I'm not looking for any strong light and shadow things or shapes. I'm probably looking for more like shapes, colors, weird compositions or something like that. The camera and the lens are not mine, they belong to my good friend Robin. Big thanks Robin for letting me borrow this camera and lens and make this video. This is also the first time I'm using the E-M1III camera body, and even though it's an old camera body already, old model, but still it's a little bit exciting to use that for the first time and see how it performs. In the past, I have owned the original EM1, and most of the controls are pretty much the same on this one, and I like them. But the power switch location is dumb, I think, because you need two hands to operate the camera. And I know you can reprogram the power switch, for example, to this switch by the viewfinder, but still I think it's dumb to design a power switch like this in the first place if you think that people are going to reprogram it anyway. I think the best location for a power switch is around the shutter button or anywhere so that you can operate the camera with one hand. But in general, I really like the control layout and the user interface on this Olympus E-M1III. It's interesting to see that Robin has the dials the other way around compared to my setup on my camera. Robin has the aperture on the rear dial and the exposure compensation on the front dial, but I have them the other way around on my Sony. And I don't want to change it on this camera because I don't want to mess up with Robin's customization. I just have to deal with this reversed setup during this photo walk. I already made one video with this 17mm f1.8 lens. But in that video I published or shared only some of my old photos, and someone was even complaining that why would I share only my old photos, and I really didn't understand that comment, because what does it matter if the photos are a few years old if they are still good photos? If the photos were bad, then I could understand the comment. But anyway, this lens still feels very, very familiar even after such a long break. The last time I used this lens was, I think, 2014 or something, and that lens was mine, of course, which I sold off later when I sold off all my Olympus gear. And it's not a surprise that it feels familiar, because this angle of view is my favorite, and I'm very used to the approximately 35mm equivalent angle of view. Also, the autofocus is surprisingly fast or quick for such an old lens. After all, this lens came out in 2012, if I remember correctly, but I notice a clear difference if I compare this to my Sony a7 IV and my 40mm f2.5 prime lens, that is clearly quicker, but this is not a slow autofocus. It's actually surprisingly fast for such an old lens. I also like that this combo is so compact and lightweight, and especially the camera body is very compact if you consider that it is essentially a pro-grade camera. However, the size and weight difference is not that big if I compare this to my Sony a7 IV with a small prime lens. And the size or weight would never be any kind of decisive factor to me. However, if you start adding lenses, especially long telephoto lenses, then the size, of course, may become a decisive factor. But I almost always only shoot with one small prime lens, and therefore even a full-frame camera with a lens is never too big, or the size or weight is never any kind of an issue. Some people complain that this lens is not Some people complain that this lens is not sharp, and it's true that this lens was never considered the sharpest or the best in the Olympus lens lineup, but based on my experience, there's nothing wrong with this lens optically. I've never had any lack of sharpness problems with this lens or any kind of optical problems. I have shot many great pictures in the past on this lens, and I was always pretty happy with the optical quality. And sharpness is nothing without content, and I think too many photographers are too much interested in the sharpness and all the technical qualities like high ISO performance or noise and all that. They should be more interested or concerned about the content in their photography or photos. And now is a good time to remind you of the workshop that I'm organizing with my good friend Peter Forsgaard in Helsinki in August 2023. It's about storytelling with multiple photographs, and I guarantee you'll be a better photographer after the workshop. So please do check out the link down below and sign up as soon as possible. We'd love to see you here, not here, but in Helsinki in August 2023. And today my camera settings are aperture priority f5.6 and auto ISO. I'm shooting at f5.6 because today I'm looking for maximum depth of field, but I don't want to stop down any further because that would only add diffraction, and f5.6 on Micro Four Thirds gives me all the depth of field I'm ever gonna need, at least ever today. I'm not looking for any kind of shallow depth of field pictures today, and everything I shoot today I think requires plenty of depth of field. Besides, it's a lot easier for me to shoot at fixed settings because, like I said earlier, Robin's control layout is slightly different from mine, and if I shoot at fixed settings all the time, there's a less chance that I screw up something. I'm shooting RAW, of course, and in this video I processed every picture with DxO Photolab 6 that I'm slowly learning, and I think it does a great job with Micro Four Thirds files, Olympus files, and every file. And I'll put an affiliate link down below just in case you got interested or you'd like to try it or purchase it, please use the link down below and support my channel at the same time. Today's compositions are mostly about colors and shapes and textures, and I really love to examine and explore how different colors and textures blend in the scene. Sometimes those pictures are not very striking, but when you examine them a little bit closer, they are really interesting to me, and it's interesting to be able to sort of cut a piece of scenery or crop a piece of scenery and see how the shapes and textures sort of come together. I love street photography, and in my opinion people are an important part of street photos. Not essential, but very important. And most times when I go out and shoot, I actually try to look for some sort of interaction with people and the scene that I'm photographing. But today I was actually many times waiting for all the people to clear from the scene before I hit the shutter, because I did not want any people in my photos. I guess that's it for today. It's time now for lunch and some coffee. Thanks so much for walking with me, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider buying me a cup of coffee. There's a link down below for that if you don't live in Finland, and I will definitely see you in the next video. Thank you.